In the annals of history, certain figures transcend their mortal existence to become legends, their stories echoing through the corridors of time. Among these, the name Joan of Arc stands tall, a symbol of unyielding faith, unmatched courage, and divine purpose. A simple peasant girl who rose from obscurity to lead armies and alter the course of nations, Joan's story continues to captivate and inspire us. But who was Joan of Arc truly? Was she a divinely guided warrior? A mere pawn in the grand chessboard of history? Or perhaps a myth crafted to inspire a nation? Join us on Chronicles of Timeless Tales as we delve into the myths and facts surrounding history's most iconic figures. In the heart of medieval France during the darkest days of the 100 Years' War, a young peasant girl emerged from the obscurity of rural life to become one of history's most celebrated heroines. This is the remarkable tale of Joan of Arc, or as she is known in her native tongue, Jeanne d'Arc. Joan of Arc's story is one that defies the ordinary, a tale that has been told and retold, each time gaining a new layer of mystique. Born in 1412 in the small village of Domremy, Joan was an illiterate peasant girl, the daughter of simple farmers. Her life took a dramatic turn when, at the tender age of 13, she began to experience visions of saints, Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret, who commanded her to save France from its enemies. These visions led her to the court of Charles VII, the disinherited heir to the French throne. Imagine the scene. A young, uneducated girl standing before the most powerful men in the land, claiming to be the savior of France. Her unwavering faith and conviction were so compelling that Charles, against all odds, granted her command of an army. At just 17, Joan led French forces to a decisive victory at the Siege of Orleans in 1429. It was a turning point in the 100 Years' War, and Joan was hailed as the Maid of Orleans, a title that has endured through the ages. She didn't stop there. Joan was instrumental in ensuring Charles VII was crowned King of France at Reims, solidifying her place in the nation's history. But Joan's rise was as meteoric as her fall was tragic. In 1430, she was captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English, and handed over to her enemies. The trial that followed was a farce, a politically motivated spectacle where Joan was accused of heresy and witchcraft. At just 19 years old, she was burned at the stake in Rouen, her ashes scattered in the Seine to prevent any relics from being collected. Yet her death was not the end. Joan of Arc's story continued to grow in legend. In 1456, a retrial ordered by Pope Calixtus III cleared her of all charges, declaring her a martyr. These visions were not mere dreams, they were visceral experiences that left Joan profoundly shaken and transformed. Nearly 500 years later in 1920, Joan was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church, further immortalizing her as a symbol of faith and resilience. But, was Joan of Arc truly who we believe her to be? The traditional narrative is one of divine inspiration and miraculous victories. But as the centuries have passed, so too have the stories surrounding Joan of Arc evolved, and with them, the questions and doubts. Could Joan have been more than a simple peasant girl? Some revisionist theories suggest that Joan was the illegitimate child of royal blood, hidden away for her protection. If true, this would add a new dimension to her story. A young girl of noble lineage, destined to lead, yet raised in obscurity to shield her from the dangers that came with her birthright. And then there's the most tantalizing theory of all. What if Joan never truly faced the flames of execution? What if she somehow escaped her fate, living out her days in anonymity, far from the battlefield and the scrutiny of history? These whispers, though far-fetched, have persisted, fueling the mythic aura that surrounds Joan. But beyond the battlefield and the throne, Joan's life takes on an almost mystical dimension. She claimed to hear voices, to see visions, manifestations of saints guiding her mission. These visions were the foundation of her faith, the driving force behind her actions. After her death, miracles were attributed to her. The sick were healed, the incurable cured. These miracles were seen as evidence of her divine connection, ultimately leading to her sainthood. Yet, could there be a more earthly explanation for these visions? Modern historians and psychologists have speculated that Joan might have suffered from a mental illness, possibly psychosis or schizophrenia. Her divine visions, they argue, could have been the product of a troubled mind rather than a heavenly mandate. But to dismiss her as merely delusional seems to ignore the profound impact she had on history. While Joan's military achievements are well known, there are lesser-known facets of her life that reveal even more about her extraordinary character. For instance, Joan was a skilled negotiator, often mediating disputes between her soldiers to maintain unity within her ranks. She also maintained her chastity, dressed in men's armor, and refused to compromise her principles even in the face of death, a stance that bewildered her contemporaries and added to her legendary mystique. Word of Joan's arrival spread like wildfire throughout France. Joan of Arc's legacy is undeniable. She remains a beacon of hope, a symbol of national unity, and an icon of resistance. Her story has inspired countless movements and figures throughout history, from Napoleon, who revered her as a model of French nationalism, to modern feminist movements that see in Joan a powerful icon of female leadership and defiance. But as we sift through the layers of legend, we are left with the question, who was the real Joan of Arc? Was she truly a divinely inspired warrior, a symbol of national pride, or a mythical figure whose story has been shaped and embellished by the passage of time? In a world where history often blurs the line between fact and fiction, Joan's story challenges us to look deeper, to question what we believe, and to explore the very nature of truth. So, who was Joan of Arc? A saint, a warrior, a martyr, or a myth? The answer perhaps lies not in what she was, but in what she continues to be, an enduring symbol of the human spirit's fight against impossible odds. Whether divinely guided or the product of historical myth-making, Joan of Arc's story remains one of the most compelling narratives in history. A story that continues to inspire, challenge, and mystify. In a world where history often blurs the line between fact and fiction, Joan's story challenges us to look deeper, to question, to explore the very nature of what we believe. While the traditional narrative of Joan of Arc, the peasant girl who heard voices, led armies, and was martyred for her faith, remains the dominant narrative, it has not gone unchallenged. Over the centuries, whispers of doubt have circulated, questioning various aspects of her story, her origins, her visions, and even her ultimate fate. These alternative theories, often dismissed as mere speculation or attempts to debunk a cherished legend, nevertheless offer intriguing possibilities that challenge us to re-examine what we think we know about Joan of Arc. Some of these theories stem from the inherent ambiguities and contradictions within the historical record. The 100 Years' War was a tumultuous period, marked by shifting alliances, political intrigue, and widespread propaganda. Records from that era are often incomplete, biased, or simply unreliable, leaving ample room for speculation and interpretation. Other theories arise from attempts to reconcile Joan's extraordinary life with more modern sensibilities. The idea of a peasant girl receiving divine visions and leading armies to victory can be difficult for some to accept, leading to attempts to find more rational or psychological explanations for her experiences. Whether these revisionist theories hold any merit is a matter of ongoing debate. However, they serve as a reminder that history is rarely as straightforward as we might like to believe. It is a tapestry woven from threads of truth, myth, and memory, subject to interpretation and reinterpretation across generations. One of the most controversial theories about Joan of Arc is that she did not die at the stake in Rouen in 1431. Some argue the execution was a hoax, allowing Joan to escape and live in anonymity. Historical inconsistencies have fueled this theory. Witnesses claimed the body burned was not Joan's. Reports of Joan being seen alive years later emerged. In 1436, a woman named Claude des Armois claimed to be Joan. Claude resembled Joan and knew details of her life. Joan's family even recognized her. Was she the real Joan, or a clever fraud? The theory remains speculative but speaks to the enduring fascination with Joan's story. The flames that consumed Joan of Arc's earthly body in the marketplace of Rouen could not extinguish the fire of her legend. In death, she became even more potent a symbol than she had been in life, a martyr for the French cause, a testament to the power of faith, and a haunting reminder of the cruelty and injustice that can grip the hearts of men. Though condemned as a heretic by a politically motivated court, Joan's memory lived on among the common people of France. Tales of her courage, her piety, and her unwavering belief in her divine mission circulated widely, passed down from generation to generation. She became a folk heroine, a symbol of hope and resistance in a time of turmoil. In the years following the conclusion of the 100 Years' War, efforts to rehabilitate Joan's reputation gained momentum. Her supporters, recognizing the injustice of her trial and execution, petitioned the Catholic Church to investigate her case. In 1456, Pope Calixtus III authorized a formal inquest into the circumstances surrounding Joan's condemnation. This retrial, conducted with far greater rigor and impartiality than the original proceedings, overturned Joan's conviction. The court, after examining the evidence and hearing testimony from witnesses who had known Joan personally, declared that her trial had been riddled with procedural errors and that the charges against her were unfounded. The posthumous exoneration of Joan of Arc paved the way for her canonization as a saint in 1920. This recognition solidified her status as a symbol of faith and courage. Joan's legacy extends into politics, art, literature, and popular culture. She has been embraced by diverse groups and movements. Nationalists hail her as a symbol of French patriotism. Feminists celebrate her as a pioneering figure for women's leadership. Military leaders draw inspiration from her strategic brilliance. Joan's story is retold in books, plays, films, and other art. Her image remains ubiquitous in France and beyond. Joan of Arc's story, woven from history and myth, continues to captivate us centuries after her death. Was she a divinely inspired heroine, a shrewd political strategist, or a product of her time? The answer remains an enigma. Her story reminds us that history is a dynamic conversation across generations. It is a process of interpretation and constant rediscovery. Joan of Arc's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of belief. Her story serves as a reminder that even the most humble can rise to meet the challenges of our time. Whether we view her as a saint, a warrior, or a martyr, Joan of Arc's story continues to inspire us to embrace courage and challenge injustice. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of Joan of Arc. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who share a passion for history.